Great. How are you?
I'm good, making my way through quarantine one day at a time, just like everybody else.
Excited about that.
So are you okay? That's the question.
I am okay. There's actually been a lot of changes, actually, for me, because I'm a physical therapist. So, our world as physical therapists has changed because that's a profession where you're in people's faces, you're touching people, you're in close contact with several people a day. So that's definitely shifted. And the need for therapists has gone more to the hospital setting, of course, where they're trying to take care of those COVID patients and making sure that the patients who are just there for standard admissions are getting the treatment they need and on the fast track so that they can clear those beds out for those coronavirus cases if the peak comes for certain cities. So it's completely different right now for me.
That's crazy. I catch myself saying that's crazy like 100 times a day. Everything changing. I just be like, that's crazy.
It's like, what is your profession? And it's like, how can we make that work with the current pandemic? Let's beam. Let's
she's physical therapy. You can't be virtual. It's complete. It's a complete shift.
As soon as you say, when I think of physical therapy, I think of, okay, I had surgery. I need to regain my arm strength. I think of certain aspects like that. In this situation, what does it mean, whether it be with COVID or as far as how you feel that you're providing strength for them?
Yeah, so actually a lot of the elective surgeries, so like the total knees, the total hips, total shoulders, all of those, they stopped those because, they won't want to expose people to certain things in a hospital setting. But for a physical therapist in a hospital setting for the coronavirus patients, it's really optimizing their level of function. So of course it's affecting their respiratory system. So it's difficult for them to breathe. Walking a few steps could be hard for them. They get winded quickly, requiring oxygen. And as a physical therapist, what we do is we figure out their home situation because in that setting, it's making sure they have a safe discharge to wherever it is they're going. Like, are they going home? Do they need to go to a rehab facility? Who's there to help you? Do you have spares? Like, what does your typical day-to-day look like? So making sure that we're getting them up and active in the hospital because there's research studies that prove that it does impact the respiratory distress syndrome that they are experiencing.
I was gonna say that's crazy. Again, like they stopped an entire, type of surgeries for, I get the exposing, but now certain people have to live longer with pain or pain medicine until it's safe enough for them to have those surgeries.
Exactly.
So outside of your studies, or including your studies, we want to dive deep into you as a person. This is a segment that we want to entitle with our episodes, the passion presentation. We deem it very valuable for individuals at whatever age to be able to tap into a passion and insert it into their lives, whether you make it a 9-to-5, whether you make it a side gig, or whether you make it just an overall mindset. What is something that you're passionate about? And given you being the Dr. Blake Banner, you caring for other individuals when it comes to the physical therapy aspect, what's something that you're passionate about? What is the thing or the things you're passionate about that you are applying to your life?
So it would have to be holistic wellness. So by degree, of course, physical therapist, but by birth, energy healing, making sure that people are going and doing things to serve them on every level, not just going to the gym, but like you guys were talking about earlier, taking time to say, okay, I'm aware that this is going on with me and reflecting on those issues that you feel like are going on internally so that overall everything can improve.
Absolutely. That's something that I guess I've seen. I think when I was in Savannah, I like to call Savannah my most hippie experience going to SCAD. I learned a lot in Savannah, about the triangle going up north a little bit. But overall, Savannah taught me a lot as far as thinking differently, thinking outside of what may have been ingrained in me. So when it comes to thinking holistically, what exactly does that mean? How would somebody apply that mindset to their life?
So I think a lot of times, again, you guys touched on this, we're fed certain things through like social media, like, oh, you need to meditate or you need to be productive, or work is the most important. Like, there's so many just little boxes that they try to put us in. But when we talk about holistic, we mean everything. So not just going to work, but also spending time with your family, also making sure you're spending time with yourself. So kind of like dabbling in a little bit of everything when it comes to that, and doing what works best for you, not necessarily following some cookie cutter aspect of, okay, they say I need to read, drink 5 glasses of water today. I need to meditate. I need to talk to my friends. I need to, this whole checklist. When it becomes a burden, then it's not helping anyone. Then you're stressed out by it. It's not going to cause anything beneficial for you.
If someone, and drink green tea, that's on the to-do list.
Exactly.
Drink green tea in order to have
moisturize, hydrate, mind your business.
Like,
call all your friends. Balance a successful relationship. Get married and have children before the age of 30. Like, there's so many little things that society's pushing on you.
But
exactly.
As far as someone who doesn't know what holistic wellness, what it looks like, and I know it doesn't look the same for every person because it's individualized based on, their needs, but can you give us like an example or just a quick rundown of what it looks like?
So for me, my big thing is merging kind of Western and Eastern medicine. So taking our traditional doctors that we're going and getting our prescriptions with something like acupuncture, or looking up herbal remedies and the use of crystals for healing. My big thing is looking for the answers within before seeking external sources. A lot of times when we feel like we need something, it's almost like we don't trust ourselves and we want to get that second opinion, which could be important for certain situations. But at the end of the day, more times than not, you know what's best for you. Even our body, things we crave, like there's a reason for that. There's a reason why you want something salty, or there's a reason why you're really feeling like you need to just take a minute and sit down or take a nap. Like, our body will tell us all of these things. It's important to listen to it. And I think society puts the importance on others a little bit too much, as far as maybe seeking answers from the doctor when it's something that and specifically for me as a Black woman, and knowing how the maternal death rates and things like that are so impacted by how they have these studies and how they look at African American women in hospital systems. That's why I really feel like we should start taking charge of our own health. And again, that comes to listening to your body and knowing what's best for you.
I love that you said it's a mix between Western and Eastern medicine, because I feel like there's people that are on both extremes. Being from Sudan, our house is very Eastern medicine. And if that don't work, if that don't work, then I guess you can make an appointment. Like, my dad is very Eastern. Like, there's your hibiscus tea, there's this, there's that, try that. Have you slept? Okay, then do this whole checklist of self-check before you go and get a doctor's prescription. But I feel like it's a big emphasis on validation. And also, like, this is more emotional, but like if someone becomes an expert in a field, you no longer rely on your own body's intuition. Like, even women with doctors, like, what you feel, but because, they went to school for it, I'll let them, validate it. So it's like, you have to find the balance. Obviously, I can't deliver a baby and give you medical advice on that, but I also know myself. So, like, going back to that self-awareness, not self-doubt, and justifying, like being okay with saying, I don't know this and I feel confident in this. I feel like it's a big part of why we seek outside validation.
So what we're saying is there's a given value in the body, the mind, and the self, is what we're saying.
Correct.
That's crazy, man.
And then I feel like
in the audience,
a really, really big part is not invalidating someone else's ways. So, like, I love that Blake said a combination, because there's, there's an extremist who invalidates the entire Western medicine, and then there's extremists who invalidate the entire holistic approach. When, there's villages in South Africa and South Africa, South America, who don't have Western medicine, and yet they're thriving, they're surviving, they're doing what they do. So being able to.
I've seen so much elderberry, turmeric, ginger, all these remedies that people are talking about now, the coronavirus. I'm like, y'all were just buying up all the Dayquil and NyQuil like 6 weeks ago, but now y'all trying to get with the elderberry and the ginger. But I love it. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that like it's so good just to see people exploring different avenues. And I think during this time when we are in quarantine, it's giving us an opportunity to branch out and to try different things, whether that's trying herbal tea or elderberry syrup, or we're going to try to journal. We're going to try to spend time in the morning taking 10 minutes, not just waking up and scrolling on our phone, but just trying to reflect and think about what did we have a dream about, or how are we feeling before we start our day, you know? I think it's the perfect time to do that right now.
When you talked about like the going to these stores and buying all these natural herbs, it was funny to me. Not like it's funny, but you know how Black people, I think for most Black people, we already knew this. And the fact that Western and the government didn't provide us with a solution, that's what pushed people more to it. Like we've been knew about ginger tea and turmeric. We knew these things. But because this pandemic started without a solution, we were like, hold on, let's go back to our old ways. What did grandma say again? Because the man ain't give me a vaccine yet. So let me go here and get what we used to do to help my immune system. So I feel like that also pushed some self-reliance. Like, since they don't have a solution, let me go back to my old ways and figure out. Because the big joke in our community is the Sudanese women WhatsApp they got all the remedies at this point. They got the vaccine. They got whatever you need at this point.
So Dr. Banner, when it comes to the holistic approach and you're going to work, physical therapy, is there a way that you can infuse those two things together? Like, because I'm sure you can't just bring, elderberry to work, so how do you find crystals? How do you find a median as far as how you're helping through your job alongside what you believe in?
So there's a thin line that I can dance when it comes to that. Because, of course, working within my scope and my degree when I am working as a physical therapist is different than when I'm Blake, Reiki practitioner, working with clients on that side. However, I am able to utilize breathing techniques with patients that do feel anxious or they do get overwhelmed during a treatment session. So there's always that. And if they bring up something about essential oils or ask for recommendations, I can't tell them specifically, but I can tell them from my basis and my knowledge what I do know and what could be beneficial for someone who may be experiencing something similar to that. So mainly the calming techniques, but as far as everything else, it's kind of like that thin line of going into woo-woo and too much merging of the Eastern and Western, but I am able to bring it with me. And everywhere I go, I am me, no matter where I go. Like, so I'm in clinics, I'm in hospitals, I'm wearing crystals, like they already know what's going on with me. But I feel like that energy, it kind of definitely is contagious. So I just feel like I'm spreading that throughout too.
How did you get started? As far as someone who's constantly been educated with Western medicine, and then, you got all the way up to doctorate. I know it's almost, I don't want to call it suffocating, but you're constantly beat with these Western methods. How did the holistic approach and holistic wellness come about for you as a way of life?
I feel like we always go back to what we're supposed to be doing, like from childhood. So when I was a child, my mom, she would actually let me go. There's a store in the mall, and they had tumbled crystals and rocks and stones, and I was so into that, and I was all into it. And my great aunt is actually a Reiki master, so there was always like the presence of it growing up. But of course, like you said, there's people beating different things into you, and you're like, oh, I want to do this, and research, this. And it wasn't until you get to that point where you're literally all out of options. So in grad school, I was out of options. I was stressed out. I was broke. I was tired. I'm hungry. And then all of a sudden, I found myself meditating more, going back to like the crystals, going back to everything that I really enjoyed as a child, but somehow they got lost along the way. And at that point, I was like, oh, okay, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
It works, and this is me.
Yeah.
I like that. It all goes back to knowing yourself. Like,
yeah.
Tap into who you are.
Absolutely. So just to present to the people as our passion presentation, how exactly, as a Reiki practitioner, how have you introduced that to the world?
Education. So I try to educate, even if it's just putting a bug in someone's ear, making them curious, making them want to Google search through my blog and my website. I try to provide as much information as I can. It's something that I'm passionate about, of course. So every time I get to talk about it, I just light up. I want to talk for hours and hours and hours about it. And if I can just put that information out there, I know that the right people will find it and come across it and pass it along to those who need it. I always feel like you find something exactly when you're supposed to. So I know that's happening out there. I have to say it's happening for me to continue my writing and everything, but it's definitely putting that information out there. I feel like my contribution and just being that light to others and talking about it when it's appropriate, it comes up in conversation, offering just information on it.
Yep. Over on this side, we call that putting out waves, and waves ever, whether it be a large impact or a small impact. But you spoke on a blog. Where can we find your blogs? Where can we find you teaching? Where can we get to that?
Yes, so my blog is on my website, and it's www.drblakebanner.com. Real straightforward and easy. Try to do posts on Wednesdays. I try to add little tidbits on there, add some meditation, some sound healing. Even on my Instagram, I've started doing sound healing Sundays now. So I'm trying to play my bowls more for the people, just because I feel like during this time, it's just good to calm down the anxiety and increase just feel good vibes. Like there's so much overload with negativity, and you go on CNN.com and you see all these deaths and people protesting. You go on Instagram and people telling you you're lazy and fat because you didn't go to the gym today. So just don't put out as much good vibes as I can, really.
And I love that you're able to introduce the different type of holistic wellness. Like you talked about sound healing, you talked about crystals, you talked about essential oils, meditation. And people need to know that there's different ways, just like we're individual and we have different needs. It's definitely different ways to get to that holistic point in your life. I love
Absolutely.
that.
Okay, so tell us more about as far as the things that you can also provide for individuals when it comes to holistic healing in the home.
Yeah, well, myself, again, I do Reiki, so I offer that on my site as well, which is energy work. It really balances out your energy fields, your 7 chakras. It just provides a sense of calmness and reduces anxiety, promotes relaxation, helps with sleep, all types of ailments. I also have been designing and creating essential oil blends to help target specific things. Right now, I'm focusing on chakra balancing oil just because I do what I feel drawn to, what I feel is appropriate for the time. So chakra balancing, just because right now I feel like some people are all mixed up inside. They're not really sure what's going on. They're focused on the future, the complete unknown. They're focused on the past, what things were. I know you're saying our new normal. So all of those things can be overwhelming. So making sure that we're staying balanced and keeping ourselves in check and not allowing that to overwhelm us.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
I'm reading that too. I'm going on the website because
I got some Dr. Banner Sage over here. We're waiting to use, waiting for the perfect moment.
Clear it out.
Clear it all out. So last but not least, when it comes to, we definitely talked about your passion. We broke down your path, passion, path, and purpose being our pursuit principles. Can you just give, in respect to quarantine, an overall view of the impact, the purpose, which we've also tapped into, but if you had to say anything about the purpose of why you do what you do, why is it valuable and why should people take heed to what you are passionate about?
Ooh, that's a good question. Because I feel like the way that I found what I'm doing now, my passion and my purpose is from looking within. And I feel like I constantly beat that in everything that I do, talk to yourself, go within. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I feel like we're forced to do that right now. And at this time, that's my purpose, to remind people check in with yourself. And what are you feeling drawn to? When everything else is removed, all the distractions, what do you want to do? What makes you happy right now? And I feel like you can carve out your own way by understanding that and figuring that out. It's not about what people are doing right now that's making money. It's about finding what makes you happy and figuring out how to make a living from that. So that's like step one.
I love that you tapped into that. It's not even about what's making other people successful and happy.
Absolutely.
It's not like, oh, I'm good at that too. It's definitely that tapping into yourself and what makes you happy.
Absolutely. And I got one more. I said that was last, but if you could tell 1 to 3 things for people who are currently quarantined, which is a lot of people, even though some people are trying to get back outside, for those who are struggling with the process of being to themselves, what are 1 to 3 tips or things that they can do? What's something that you can recommend?
I would say 1, focus on the present. So mindfulness, take things one moment at a time. Don't worry about what's going on next week. Don't worry about when you're going to be able to wear your new outfit. One day at a time, because things like anxiety are due to thinking of things that aren't happening yet. It's worries about the future or thinking about the past and what could happen. So mindfulness, being mindful, taking things one day at a time. 2 would be being positive, which is cliche, but again, during this time, I think the person on before me was speaking about how people can relapse in those depressive states. So staying positive, it's hard right now because it's like, dang, I don't got my birthday's canceled, wedding's canceled, this canceled, what's going good? But at least taking every day to say at least 3 good things. Like, okay, what are 3 positive things about today? And then again, my number 3 would be tied to that as far as gratitude, being grateful, because that really shifts your perspective and will make you feel more positive. Like, I'm grateful to have a house to be quarantined in, because there are people that are not able to be in a house right now. The homeless people are really suffering. Being thankful for food in your fridge, being thankful to have the option to scroll aimlessly on a cell phone with internet access, just little things like that. And it could be something as simple as that, or even as big as like, I'm grateful for my family being healthy, because some people don't have healthy family members right now, and people are battling coronavirus in the hospital on ventilators. So really stepping outside yourself and look at the bigger picture instead of, dang, man, I was really looking forward to that trip to Fiji, you know. But I think that those 3 things, so mindfulness, being positive, and being grateful, gratitude, those are my 3 things.
Thank you. That's what I'm going to do.
There we go. We thank you, Blizzy B, BB, Hope Dealer Worldwide, the Mrs. Dr. Blake. I thank you for being here. A friend of mine, an associate, a professional that I'm glad to have in my circle. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.